Hi again, and here we are for a second some kind of Star Trek visual log. This time we're going to be looking at the really special 50th issue of the official Starships collection, which is released on Thursday of this week. But we've had a special delivery over the weekend for those people who've been subscribed, and it's coming so we can have a look at it today. What we've got here is the Starship itself. I've docked it onto stand. And let's just take a quick tour around the ship itself. So if I just pop it from its little clips, one thing you'll notice straight away is that it is a very, very tight fit into the stand this time. So there's your stand. These is very, very tight around the saucer section. Just move that out of the way and take a look at the ship itself. So as you will have noticed from the stand, and if I just tilt it into the light, there is a line just about there, and there's one which is just about here as well, and that's from the stand, so you just be careful that it is going to rub against the hull, which some collectors may not be too thrilled with. So let's take a quick look round her. As I said, what I've got here is a very plain Starship, so there's none of the hull plating lines that you might have expected. There are no markings at all. There's no Aztecing. This is pretty much as it was delivered to the studio in the 1960s. Very plain indeed. As you will have seen from pictures of the remastered works, there is a lot more detail on the hull, but this is as pure as you are going to get in terms of original Star Trek. Just as a clarification on that one, ships that are coming, which are the Romulan Bird of Prey and the Klingon D7-2, will be as plain and as straightforward as you're getting with the Enterprise here. So on the hull, very, very plain, straightforward markings, the NCC 1701, including the little ticks at the ends of the ones there, which indicates that this is from the series rather than being from either of the pilot episodes. Hull bridge module as well. Not greatly thrilled with the detail that we've got on this little blip on the top on the dome of the bridge. Just looks a bit washed out and not completely white if you catch it in certain lights. Nice detailing on the lights and the windows around the sides of that module though, and also great to see some of these little pennant details and markings out on the hull. Grey impulse engine, not personally something that I'd noticed, but you do spot it occasionally on the studio model that it is darker, and just again some very, very minor detailing that you may not have seen previously. So we'll just spin around and take a look at the nacelles as we're doing the top section. So they are parallel, which is great, and they're straight. So if you just swing it around and look at it from the rear, you'll actually see that it is actually lined up correctly, which is brilliant news for everybody who gets annoyed by the nacelles. Some really nice detailing on here of the exhausts and the vents on the engines with the golf ball ends that you saw in the original series, and the pennants. You've got the Starfleet pennant with the NCC 1701 on the side as well. The fitting of the engines to the pylons isn't brilliant, but you can let it off considering that the cost and the scale that we're dealing with here. Nice to see the markings again on the pylons. Very, very precise. No iffy edges on there, but we've also got the translucent Bussard collectors on the ends, so no markings to indicate any of the fans that you would have seen within the original series, but at least they've gone to the effort here of putting translucent ends on rather than just keeping them as coloured plastic, so got to give them some kudos for that one. So what we'll do now, if we flip her over and take a look at the underside, again with the saucer, very, very plain, just the registry number that you've got on there, plus these two triangular sections, which I don't remember being raised up on any of the models previously that I've seen. A little bit of detail, lights, again that washed out dome on the underside. Not greatly thrilled with the white on there. It does look a little bit grey if you catch it in some of the lights, but overall a pretty good and solid design, solid feel to this one. The saucer itself, as I may have not mentioned, is metal, and everything from the neck, from the neck and the secondary hull is plastic. As you will have noticed, I've just turned it. There is one big issue with the model, and that is this join line across the bottom of the secondary hull, which is just there and extends up towards the shuttle bay. For some reason, the hull is split into sections. So this bottom piece is one, and then you've got the top section, and then their cells are attached to another piece at the back here. But this join is just a little bit too large for my liking. I know a couple of people I've been talking to are saying that they are looking to repaint this pretty much straight away and clear that join up. And there's also a join around the deflector dish housing. I'm not that bothered personally, because I understand the cost and what it's taken to bring this to this point, and I understand from Ben, the trouble that he's gone to get to this level. But it just is quite disappointing that you've got that marker. Anyway, the other point that fans have been talking about is this orange deflector dish. It's a piece of translucent plastic rather than being a solid plastic painted into that bronze colour, which we might be more familiar with from the original series. So yeah, that as an accuracy thing, that isn't the best that I've seen, but overall a pretty decent model. The other thing that you may have spotted is the shuttle bay at the back. I'll just show you this join line that goes around as we go around it. So as you can see on the other side, it's not too bad. There's actually just a little bit there where there's a gap, but toward the front there is nowhere near as much of an opening as you've got on the port side. The other thing is the shuttle bay. In the magazine and everywhere else, the shuttle bay doors are a sort of more silver colour. Here they are still painted in the grey of the rest of the ship. So a little bit disappointed that hasn't been followed through. I'm not too fussed about the fact that the shuttle bay cabin, which should be just above there, isn't featured, and I understand that's because of cost, and also the manufacturing difficulty of putting that on there wasn't quite as easy as you may have thought. Overall, a really nice piece of kit from Eaglemoss. Really nice, good weight behind it as well, and pretty sturdily built. The inner cells, there's a bit of flex in there, but you're going to get that when you've got two tubes which are attached by a very, very thin piece of plastic to another thin piece of plastic. So yeah, pretty impressed. Let's just pop it back on the stand now. The accompanying magazine, issue 50, won't provide any startling revelations to Star Trek fans. There are some great drawings in there from Matt Jeffries covering off his early sketches, and actually some first-hand accounts from Jeffries about how he designed it and how the Enterprise actually came to be. The designing and in the building section as well is pretty good. Does cover some of the parts of the transitions between the two pilots and the original series, so certainly worth a read, even if it's just a refresher. So overall, issue 50 is a pretty good package. Certainly one that we'd be recommending to followers of some kind of Star Trek, and people who are big fans of collecting their models, and for those, of course, who are going to be going out and getting them as part of the Starships collection. So definitely one that's worth adding to your shelf.